The art gallery favored the spring evening wrapped around the city like a silk scarf, soft and shimmering with possibility. Emma Sterling stood outside the Morrison Art Gallery, her heart hammering against her ribs. Through the tall windows, she could see clusters of elegantly dressed guests, champagne flutes catching the warm light of the chandeliers. This was supposed to be her wedding 6 months ago. She had imagined walking down an aisle toward Daniel Morrison, her college sweetheart, the man who had promised her forever. Instead, Daniel was inside that gallery right now, about to marry Veronica Chen, the sophisticated art dealer he had left Emma for. Emma smoothed down her cream-colored dress, the fabric cool beneath her trembling fingers. She had debated for weeks whether to attend. The invitation had felt like a slap and an olive branch at the same time, but she had decided to go to prove to herself and to everyone else that she had moved on, except she hadn't brought a date. The thought of walking in alone, facing the pitying looks and whispered conversations, made her stomach twist. She glanced around the street, desperate, her mind racing through impossible scenarios. That was when she saw him. A man stood near a sleek black car, talking quietly on his phone. He wore a perfectly tailored navy suit that spoke of old money and effortless sophistication. His dark hair was styled with casual precision, and even from a distance, Emma could see the sharp line of his jaw, the confident way he carried himself. He looked exactly like someone who belonged at a wedding like this. Before she could talk herself out of it, Emma found her feet carrying her toward him. He ended his call and looked up, his gray eyes meeting hers with curiosity. "Excuse me," Emma said, her voice barely above a whisper. Then, louder, "I know this is going to sound absolutely insane, but I need to ask you something." The man tilted his head, a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "I'm listening." Emma took a deep breath, the words tumbling out in a rush. "There's a wedding happening in that gallery right now. My ex-boyfriend's wedding, actually. I was supposed to marry him, but he left me for someone else, and I came here tonight to show everyone I'm fine. But I realized I can't walk in there alone. Everyone will think I'm pathetic, and I just..." She paused, meeting his eyes directly. "Can you pretend to be my date? Just for tonight, please?" For a long moment, the man said nothing. He studied her with those intelligent gray eyes, and Emma felt certain he was about to laugh at her or walk away. Instead, he extended his hand. "Alexander Hayes," he said, "and I happen to have a weakness for beautiful women in need of rescue." Emma shook his hand, relief flooding through her. "Emma Sterling, thank you. You have no idea how much this means to me." "I might have some idea," Alexander said, offering her his arm. "Shall we?" They walked into the gallery together, and Emma felt the difference immediately. With Alexander beside her, she stood taller. His presence was like a shield, sophisticated and unshakable. The gallery was stunning. Paintings lined the white walls, each one illuminated by carefully positioned lights. Purple flowers, lavender irises, and lilacs filled crystal vases throughout the space, their sweet scent mixing with expensive perfume and the buttery aroma of catered ore. Emma spotted Daniel almost immediately. He stood near a painting of a sunset, his hand on Veronica's waist. When he saw Emma, his expression shifted from surprise to something harder to read. "Emma," Daniel said, approaching them. "You came?" "Of course," Emma replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "Congratulations, Daniel. The gallery looks beautiful." Daniel's eyes moved to Alexander, questions written across his face. "Daniel, this is Alexander Hayes," Emma said. "Alexander, this is Daniel Morrison." The groom. Alexander shook Daniel's hand with the easy confidence of someone who had closed million-dollar deals before breakfast. "Congratulations on your wedding. You have excellent taste in venues. I've actually been considering this gallery for a charity auction." "Hayes," Daniel repeated, recognition dawning in his eyes. "Wait, as in Hayes Industries, the technology company?" Alexander smiled modestly. "That would be me." Emma blinked. She had picked a random stranger off the street, and he turned out to be a CEO. The universe had a strange sense of humor. They moved through the gallery, with Alexander playing his role perfectly. He kept his hand on the small of Emma's back, leaned in to whisper observations about the paintings, and made her laugh with dry, intelligent humor. With him, Emma found herself actually enjoying the evening. They stopped in front of a large painting of purple flowers reflected in water, their colors bleeding into the surface like watercolor dreams. "It's beautiful," Emma murmured. "It reminds me of resilience," Alexander said quietly. "Flowers that bloom in their own time, creating their own reflection, independent of everything around them." Emma looked at him, really looked at him, and saw something in his expression that went beyond politeness or pretense. "Why did you agree to help me?" she asked. "You don't know me at all." Alexander was quiet for a moment, his eyes still on the painting. 3 years ago I was supposed to get married. She left 2 weeks before the wedding for someone she said was more emotionally available. I spent months wondering if I was broken somehow, if my work had made me incapable of the kind of love she needed. "I'm sorry," Emma said softly. "Don't be..." I eventually realized she did me a favor. We weren't right for each other, but I was too comfortable to see it. Sometimes the universe has to push us out of relationships that would have made us smaller versions of ourselves. Emma felt tears prick her eyes. Is that what happened with Daniel and me? I don't know, Alexander said honestly. But I do know that anyone who would leave you is someone who didn't deserve you in the first place. They stood there together, two strangers who had become something else in the space of a single evening, united by their shared understanding of heartbreak and healing. As the night wore on, Emma realized something surprising. She wasn't thinking about Daniel anymore. She wasn't worried about what people thought or whether she looked pathetic. She was simply present, engaged in fascinating conversations with Alexander about art and technology, about travel and dreams, about the messy, complicated business of being human. When the wedding ceremony began, Emma and Alexander stood at the back. Emma watched Daniel marry Veronica and felt only a gentle wistfulness, like looking at an old photograph of someone you used to know. After the ceremony, as guests moved toward the reception area, Alexander turned to Emma. "You know, I actually do have a charity auction coming up next month," he said. "I could use a date. A real one this time, not pretend." Emma smiled, feeling something bloom in her chest, like those purple flowers in the painting, resilient, beautiful, and entirely her own. "I'd like that," she said. They walked out of the gallery together into the spring night, leaving the past behind them, stepping forward into something new and unexpected. Sometimes the best love stories begin with a desperate request and a stranger's kindness. Sometimes they begin at someone else's wedding, and sometimes they begin exactly when they're supposed to.